I'm Harold Wooderson. My family and I have been farming in the Kay County area for many, many years. I'm the third generation, and there's 3 generations following me. We're stewards of the land, but we've been farming and ranching here in Kay County for a long time.
I grew up very fascinated by renewable energy and wind power projects. Even as a young boy, I was sort of fascinated with trying to create energy by the sun or the wind, and I was very interested in it for many, many years, but never had any feeling that I could take advantage of it in any way on this farmland that has been in my family for a number of generations.
The Blackwell Industrial Authority is something that's trying to create an environment where new employment comes into this community, and we've been quite successful at it for the last few years.
I'm from New Jersey originally. I've been living up and down the eastern seaboard, so I've been very much a city slicker all of my life, but developing wind projects have really, exposed me to a lot of the culture of America's heartland, and working with entrepreneurs across the country has just been a great experience.
I grew up just a real outdoor sports person, whether it was biking, camping, hiking, skiing. That was sort of the environment I grew up in. Always had a strong appreciation for the outdoors. Got into that even more as a student at the University of Colorado, and always wanted to work it into my career. And then I sort of stumbled on the renewable energy business.
About 2005, 2006, I started to read about wind farms going up in western Oklahoma, which is a fair bit a ways from where our farmland is here in Kay County. But I decided to go ahead and take a chance and go to this wind power conference and see if there was any hope of getting wind farms further east in Oklahoma. I attended a talk that Jake Susman, the CEO of OwnEnergy, was giving, and talking about what the concept was with community wind.
We're a community wind development company and a platform for clean energy entrepreneurs. So that means we develop mid-sized projects, these typically about 50 megawatts, and we're doing this in 13 states around the country. And in every one of our projects, there's a member of that local community who is co-invested with us in the project. So it's somebody who's been there for generations, who's a local leader, whether it's in business or education or what have you, who really carries out a lot of that local development work on the project's behalf.
David's family has had farm ground in Blackwell for the past 100 years, and he's been wanting to figure out a way to supplement his farming income with something new. And he knows that the wind blows in Oklahoma, and he wants to harness some of that natural energy.
So one of my big concerns was, would a project like this really disturb the farming operations from some of the locals? So we farm with a gentleman named Harold Wooderson and his sons Bruce and Max, and it was very important to me to talk to them early on about what their thoughts were. Would they be advocates and be in favor of having a wind farm out here? And did they think it might disrupt and cause problems with the way they make a living, which is raising lots of wheat and putting cattle out on the land? And right from the start, they were very, very, very in favor of doing the project.
That kind of excited us. We think that's progress, and so we were kind of glad to hear that was a possibility.
And I think they even enjoyed the idea of moving away from relying on oil, Middle Eastern oil, and making America a little bit more energy independent. So that aspect of the project was always very, very positive for many of the local people here in Kay County and Blackwell.
In the wind power business, there's the big utility scale wind projects that use big turbines, and these are mega scale farms. On the opposite end of the spectrum is small wind, where you have small 100 kilowatt types of turbines that are used to power homes and smaller businesses. We sit kind of in the middle. So we do mid-size community scale wind, which means using the big turbines, the latest technology, but just using fewer turbines and focusing on mid-size grid scale wind farms.
Blackwell's a great example. We have a local partner there, David Savage and his dad, who've been working with us for several years. They knew they wanted to be in the wind business. They saw it come into their community. They didn't want to take the sort of standard passive approach of just having some out-of-town developer come in and tell them what to do. They wanted to be actively involved. They wanted to be entrepreneurs about the approach they took, and we found each other. We developed a great project together.
Being able to help with the wind farm, help David with the landowners and stuff like that has been just a real treat. And this is one of those projects that has landed $125 million worth of construction revenue. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Mike Loftus is on the Blackwell Industrial Authority. Mike is responsible for championing local economic development. I think Mike is very happy about the job creation that's happening as a result of the project.
Every job is important to Blackwell. Anything north of zero is better. We want to be able to have the kind of jobs that people can have, that they can raise their family, that they can be, productive members of the community, and the reinvestment that happens of the dollars of those payrolls has a multiplier effect. Outside of doing what I do for a living, this is my second calling, is to be something to help this community grow.
We are manufacturing a lot of the content for our wind farms today here in the U.S., which means we're building up a whole new manufacturing base for America in the renewable energy business. And so we're creating jobs left and right around the wind energy industry.
The North American continent could be totally independent of foreign sources. Oklahoma is so uniquely situated to be part of the solution to the energy needs of the North American continent.
The one challenge that we had from the project was finding a long-term power purchaser. So at that point, it was just a matter of finding efficiencies in the project, working with turbine suppliers on some of their improved technology, and really just pounding the pavement across Oklahoma, trying to find a power purchaser.
One of the greatest stories about this wind project is the phone call that I made to the president of the university one afternoon about 4 o'clock, sitting right over there. Mm-hmm. I picked up the phone and I called Burns Hargis, the president of the university, and I got him. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't believe that it actually really happened. And I said, if you don't know me, from Adam, but I'm going to ask you some weird questions. Mm-hmm. I said, OU beat you to the punch on alternative energy, didn't they? He says, yep. I said, you haven't done anything about it yet, have you? He says, nope, I'm woefully behind the curve on that deal. I said, I've got the answer. He says, really? I said, yes, we do. We have a wind project at Blackwell, and we'll paint one of those things orange and black. Let you guys come out here and have your wind technology students have a training grounds. This is the project that can supply you with exactly what you need to power that campus.
Maybe it's just coincidence or just good fortune, but all of a sudden we were able to identify that Oklahoma State University might be able to take advantage of the power and work through OG&E, one of the local big utilities here in the state. So the fact that Oklahoma State could end up buying the power was just an amazing coincidence and a really positive thing for me personally.
But it's just a good feeling for me to know when I go down there at the football game, when the lights come on, why I can look and I can say, hey, I farm around the generator where that power comes from. So I'm really excited about that.
Because the technology has gotten so good, you can do more great wind projects in places that are closer to the point of use. So, in the past, they used to talk about developing all the wind in the U.S. out in, the Saudi Arabia of wind, which is kind of the Great Plains and that area, and then shipping it out to the coasts. The technology is so strong now that if you tailor the project to the community, you can do it a lot closer to home. It's domestic, so we're generating domestic power. We've got all kinds of issues, geopolitical issues, that come from all the energy that we have to import from other countries. And the more of those sources that we can get domestically, we should try. So natural gas is one of them, wind energy is another. And I'm super excited about our ability to get more and more of our energy here in the U.S. And the neat thing about what we do well in America is that we're entrepreneurs. We are pioneers. We're people who like to go out and try to make things happen ourselves. And renewable energy gives us the opportunity to get deeply involved in making renewable generation projects happen. So whether it's an OwnEnergy mid-sized wind farm, whether it's solar on your roof, whether it's a fuel cell in your basement, whether it's just about any kind of renewables project you can think about, you're going to have individuals going out and saying, I want to make this thing happen.
It wasn't just a bunch of people coming in from outside.
Right.
It was people that were a part of the world here, that were landowners in this part of the world, and the concept of what OwnEnergy's done as being a wind developer that gets involved with local people. I couldn't be prouder of the fact that we actually did pull this off. And, you know, and Oklahoma State University is the ultimate recipient of the power, and, you know, doesn't get any better than that.